Hey everybody, what's up? How's it going? Hey Facebook, hey Instagram. I try to bring the cameras of my phones really close together so that you can't really tell which one I'm looking at, but I think you can tell. Right now I'm looking at Instagram, right now I'm looking at Facebook. So you can sort of tell, but I think I've done a pretty good job. How are you guys? Happy, what's today? Tuesday, happy Tuesday. I just wrapped up, I had an easy client day today, so I just wrapped up my last client for the day. I've been working on stuff for Transformation Lab, which for those of you in San Francisco is coming up this Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be amazing. All of the info is in on the link on my bio on Instagram, or it's all over my Facebook page on the events. It's also on my website, andrewmartin.energy, if you click on the events tab. But what I want to talk to you guys about today is something that, just popped up into my head as I was finishing up. I just was thinking about the process, and I was thinking about, the chaos and the turmoil and the turbulence and the destruction that has sort of swept its way through our lives and our world and our planet over the past year and a half, really, especially. But I would say most profoundly, and I've talked about this before, but most profoundly since this eclipse in August, the eclipse corridor that started in August with that massive powerhouse eclipse. Raise your hand, give me a thumbs up, a heart, an emoji if you experienced like that powerful eclipse in August, that total solar eclipse that was like basically a swath across the US over our country. If you're in the US, that's what I'm talking about. If you're not in the US, then perhaps you're observing it from afar, but it felt like just this scalpel. What is it? Is that scalpel that just like sliced open our country and all of the sickness and all of the darkness and all of the stuff that we are in the midst of healing and clearing and negotiating and unraveling just sort of poured out. And I know for many of us, 2017 was a bitch of a year. I mean, I really thought that 2017 was going to be an amazing year, and it kind of started off on an amazing foot. But then as the year progressed, I kept finding myself less and less clear, less and less sort of in the space of comfortable and, familiar and knowable and controllable, the place that the mind loves. But the heart says, we didn't come here for comfortable, familiar, and knowable. We came here for expansion, and we came here for growth, and we came to redefine what it means to be human, and we came to recreate and to heal and to, to tear it down and build it back up. So we've had the wrap up of the eclipse corridor just this couple of weeks ago with the new moon and the beginning of the Lunar New Year. And I know for many of us, we felt that that exhale of the pressure cooker. I definitely felt it when I was in London, because I was in London when that eclipse occurred, working at the College of Psychic Studies, doing my courses there. And I felt it. It was like, oh my God, I just felt like when you're wearing something that's too tight. I've never worn Spanx, but I have worn girdles and corsets. And I know what that feels like to just be constricted and feel like, oh my God, I can't breathe, I have to pee. It's just like everything is so uncomfortable. And a couple of weeks ago during that eclipse, it felt like the corset or the belt or the tight thing had just been removed. And it was like, oh, I can relax a little bit. But what I'm also really getting very clearly the past couple of days, I've been tuning into this energy, and I wanted to share this impression with you, that the cake isn't quite baked yet. So for us to continue to hang on in this space of trust and in this space of flow and in this space of just letting it be, just let it be, just let things be as they are right now. And I know that that's difficult when we're just so thirsty and hungry and desperate for clarity and, absolutes and something concrete and something solid and something where we feel like, okay, man, I can really dig into this and ground and root in this. The changes that we have been working so hard to create, the seeds that we have been planting are on their way. They're coming, they're sprouting, they're germinating. But this isn't about where we are right now. This isn't about anything outside of us being something that we can sort of hook into and root into and ground into, right? It's not quite ready for us to slice that cake yet. We are still in this phase of being super, super focused in here. We are still in this phase of this is, and here's the deal. This is the only thing that's ever real. This is the primary reality. What goes on in here is the primary reality. This out here is the secondary reality. And there are those beautiful, blissful, graceful moments where the primary and the secondary reality match up, and it's like all the doors are open and the brakes are taken off and it's like full speed ahead, and we feel it and we go and it's popping and it's amazing. And we have those moments, but everything is like a cycle. It's always going to be this ebb and this flow and this expansion and contraction, and we just feel our way into the energies. So right now is not necessarily about finding something in that secondary reality to really grab onto or to hook into, or to really claim it and say, yes, finally it showed up. We're still waiting for that divine destruction to complete. There's still a few pieces that are a bit wobbly. There's still a couple of things that haven't quite clarified or purified themselves. It is as if we have had like 10 pots on the stove, and we've been tending to these 10 pots, sometimes 15, 20, sometimes it feels like 100. Like I'm getting ready to cook some dinner for like 3,000 people that the Queen is hosting, and I'm the one responsible for feeding all of these 3,000 people in a very regal way, right? It has felt like a monumental undertaking. But here's the thing, really what we have been doing over this past year and some change, really the past 18 months, is we have just been in this process of clarification and purification. And yes, we have had to do a lot of deep searching and a lot of really deep work to open that shit up and just let it come out. It's what we're seeing on the planet right now, right? This sickness and the fear and all of the shit that we are dealing with, not only in the US, but around the world, but really it's highlighted in the US. All of this sickness and the stuff that's being purged, we've been in the process of clarifying it. And we've been doing this really, really deep work. But for the most part, or I should say, and also, we have been supported energetically by our non-physical selves, our higher self, our soul, our spirit, our guides, our angels, the universe, God, whatever you call that up there or that out there. We have been working with our non-physical helpers, and a lot of what we have been contending with is just the purification process in itself. And much of that is a process that is intelligent, it is self-sustaining, it is self-perpetuating, and it does the work that it needs to do on its own. And when it needs us, it says, hey, I need you to feel this, I need you to clear this, I need you to release this, I need you to heal this, or I need you just to be present with this, right? We always get the nudge to do whatever it is that we need to do. But for the most part, this is work that is just happening, that is just occurring. This is momentum that has been building. This is manifestations showing up. This is old timelines collapsing and coming to a close. And it is so crucial that now more than ever, we trust the process. And just as importantly, we allow the process. We are moving into this state of embodying the wisdom of our nature. Our true self, our divine self, our higher self, our expanded self, our non-physical self, whatever it is that you call it. We are in this phase of embodiment, and embodiment is the marriage of the physical and the non-physical, the marriage of the finite and the eternal, the marriage of the male and the female, the masculine, the feminine, the dark and the light, the yin and the yang, all of that. And when we embody all of that, we see duality collapse. Because now no longer is it me against you. I see that you and I are the same, that we're we're all connected to that same person, so we begin to embody the fullness of all that we are. And we see struggle fall away, and we see duality fall away, and we see that we hold it all within us. But we are still in this tail end of this process of this purification and this clarification. And allowing this thing where heaven touches earth, right? It's like a big Venn diagram. And that part that, we've got the sphere here and the sphere here. And the part in the middle where those two overlap, I can make, what is that shape? It's like this. Like, isn't that what the Venn diagram looks like, right? It's the Vesica Pisces. It's those two circles. Where heaven touches earth, that's where we are. We're in those places where those two overlap. And there's still a lot of sorting out that has to happen. And the analogies that I want to give you, or the metaphors that I want to give you, I can never remember which is which. You know, I use analogy and metaphor so often that I really should figure out which one is which and remember them. Anyway, I digress. That's for a project for another day. But trusting the process, allowing these cycles to play out, allowing this purification to occur. And if you think of purification, you know, my granny used to say, gold is refined through terrific heat. It takes a lot of heat to purify the gold, to burn off all the impurities and get rid of the stuff that is not supposed to be there. And it is quite often a very uncomfortable, very painful, very violent process. These big catalytic experiences that we are experiencing in our life where everything just sort of blows up and falls apart. That's what I call divine destruction. And we must allow it because it is part of the process. Think of these natural experiences that happen in our world and in our life. Think of the seed. Think of taking this seed and you plant it in the ground and it's dark and it's damp and it's deep and you can't see anything. You're literally buried under the earth. You are buried under the physical plane. You are collapsing underneath the weight of this dirt and you're put in a really, really dark place. And at some point, the intensity of what needs to happen and what needs to be born becomes more powerful than the hardness of the shell and the weight of the earth on top of it. And it blows open. It pops. It explodes. It's a violent experience. The seed is destroyed. The seed is destroyed. That's the only way that the growth can happen, is if the seed is destroyed. Destruction and creation are two sides of the same coin because there really is neither. It's all transformation. Matter is never created or destroyed. It is only transformed. So the seed has to die. It has to explode. It bursts open. And this new life, this new experience, this new idea, this birth happens. And it pushes and it fights and it forces its way to the top of the soil. And eventually, there's sun. There's water. There's oxygen. And this cycle takes as long as it takes. And if we were to disturb the seed or dig it up, we would disrupt that process. It's just like the forest fires. You know, we see, and yes, of course, there are people who accidentally start fires or on purpose start fires. But I'm talking about the natural cycles. Uninterrupted. Nature, Mother Earth, Gaia, she knows exactly what to do to regulate her process. And when the underbrush and the growth of the canopy becomes so heavy and so dark that it begins to actually prevent life from growing, what happens? We have a fire. And it is violent and it is terrifying and it destroys things in its path. But it also reaches a cycle of completion. And then what happens? New growth erupts. The ash and the waste and the byproduct of that chaos and of that destruction actually becomes the thing that feeds the new growth. So this is what I know for sure. When you are in the thick of it, keep burning. When your life is falling apart around you, let it fall. When you are in pain and you are afraid and you are so unsure of what the hell's going on, where the fuck you're going, and what you're going to have to do once you get there, let it all go and focus on this. Find the connection of your resonance, your innate GPS, your system that you were born with, that will always guide you and direct you in the direction of your highest expression. You just gotta let it fall apart. You just gotta let it fall apart. And there will be a time for regrowth. There will be a time for rebirth. There will be a time for resurrection. That's also the guarantee of the cycle. But I find that so often what happens is we start to because here's where we are, right? The eclipse we just had on the 15th, kind of ended that eclipse corridor, but we've still got this interesting reverberation happening that is going to carry us through the equinox on the 21st of March. And that really is going to be, I think, the ending of this intensity that we have been seeing for the past year and a half. And it's just continued to build and build and build and build and build. And then the eclipse in August was a turning point. And we began the, sort of the other side of the arc. If we think of the pendulum swinging here, like right in here was about that August eclipse. And so now we're seeing the other side of the arc. So things are coming to completion. Things are really preparing us for the next phase. But if you think about it, really, the new year only just began, because I always think of the Lunar New Year as the true beginning of the year. I think of like that January to mid-February is sort of like this void where we've got, again, the overlap of one thing and another. We've got the overlap of 2017 and the overlap of 2018, and they're not really clear, and it's still kind of muddied, and we're letting things wrap up and play out and complete while the new stuff is starting and the momentum is building for the new year. So we really only began the new year about a week ago. And now we've got a couple of weeks as we move towards the 21st, which is less than a month away. So about 3.5 weeks. And that's when things are really going to start to gel and solidify. So in the meantime, just remember that it's not time to rebuild until it's finished falling apart. And the wisdom that comes from the marriage of the physical and the non-physical self, the wisdom that comes from the union, the reunion with the self as we become the embodied divine human. The wisdom is understanding that while the human may be finding great discomfort, the human may be finding great fear or sadness or loss or whatever it is, and it is important to honor that, to let that go through you, to let that experience come up, to nurture yourself and love yourself through that. The wise one also understands that there is a whole other aspect of self, that the human self is this much in a sea of infinity, and that the human experience is super, super important, but that there is a part of you that is always balanced, that is always healthy, that is always well, that is always in its perfected state. And that is what wisdom is. It is carrying the understanding of the non-physical self within the human experience, the finite container of a single human life. And understanding that both of those can dance together. And yes, there is a tension that is created when these two worlds oftentimes collide and we find ourselves sort of at odds with ourselves. But just let it be. Just let it be. And I'm going to give you a mantra. I'm going to give you a trick, a tool, because I love tricks. I love magic tricks. I love practical stuff, because my thing is, it's modern spirituality. If it's not practical and you can't use it now, what the fuck good is it? It's really nice to have that, poster on the wall that's affirming and really positive, and oh yeah, that's a nice piece of inspiration. But if I can't use this now to start creating shifts in my life now, what the hell good is it? It might as well just be a book on a shelf or a painting on the wall. Give me a thumbs up or a heart or some love if you are ready for some practical spirituality. If you are looking for tools to actively, consciously move through your experience and be the regulator and the driver and the director of that experience, that's what this is all about. So this is what I remember. This is what I know. If you think about it, we've got several levels of awareness that we have access to in any given moment. And I've talked about this before, but I want to tie these two ideas together. We've got the mental level of awareness, which is our thoughts, our beliefs, our rational, logical mind, our brain, our ego. You can put all of that into the mental level of awareness. This is what my mind believes about Andrew the human and his life and what's, practical and safe and all of that stuff. So I've got my mental level of awareness. I've got my physical level of awareness, which is my body and my vessel and the physicality of my, my physical plane experience. I've got the cellular memory that the body holds onto. I've got the way that my beliefs that my mind holds begin to manifest themselves in my body, right? So that's my physical level of awareness. I've got my emotional level of awareness, how I feel. What's going on with my emotions? What's going on with my feelings? What's going on with me right now? And how is that affecting everything, right? And the emotion and the mind, the emotional field, the mental field, and the physical field all work in concert with one another. They're always communicating with one another, right? The mind tells a story. It believes it's real. The body has a physical response. And then sometimes that even creates an emotional response. Or we have an emotional response and suddenly we believe that everything is sad or scary or mad or angry or whatever. And then we have our energetic or our spiritual level of awareness, which is the true self, which is the divine self, which is the embodied self. So all of these levels of awareness play a part in our experience, and we get to choose in any given moment which one we are listening to. And all of them have relevant information, and all of them have an experience that to that level of awareness is very, very real. And so just do something with me really quick. I just want to illustrate this. Wherever you are, and if you're watching a recording of this, you can do this with me. And if you can't do it right now, you can always replay this and listen to it later. But just take a second and close your eyes. Just take a breath and settle into your body. Just for the next couple of minutes, just allow yourself to be physically present. And in fact, we're going to start with that physical level of awareness. Just become aware of your body. Feel the floor underneath your feet, or the ground, or wherever it is that you're standing or sitting or walking. Just feel the contact of your feet with the ground. Feel the feeling of your body sitting, where it comes into contact with the chair or the bed, the floor, or the sofa. If you're moving, if you're walking and listening to this, just become aware of your body moving and the movement of your body. Become aware of the temperature in the room where you are. Does the air feel still against your skin, or can you feel a breeze? Become aware of the feeling of the clothes against your skin. Where are things maybe a little tight and constricted? Where do you feel comfortable and at ease? Become aware of your heart beating, of your breath moving in and out of your body. Become aware of whatever sensations, any smells, any tastes, anything you can hear, the background noise. Just become aware of your physical self. And now move that awareness to your mental field. What's going on in your mind right now? What's going on up there in that head? Is it just the monkey mind chatter a million miles an hour running away with you like a freight train and it's dragging you behind it? What story is present right now? Is this a story about how all this bullshit that Andrew's talking about doesn't work, it's useless, it doesn't mean anything? Is it telling you to stop, get off social media, stop distracting yourself, get back to work, do something meaningful? Just become aware of what is that mental chatter. Is there something that's still really active in your mind that happened this morning or last night, or that you're worried about this afternoon? Just become aware of that. And now tune into your emotional level of awareness. Are there any strong emotions that are coming up for you right now? Have you had a particularly emotional day, or have you been in an emotional space lately and so you're feeling a lot of feelings? Become aware of your emotional state. Do you feel like you need a good cry? Do you need a good laugh? Do you need to go find a pillow and just scream into it to get out some anger? Just becoming aware. And now finally become aware of your energy body, your spiritual body, your etheric, non-physical form. What does the energy feel like in the room? What's the vibe you get? Can you feel someone else's energy encroaching on yours? Do you feel someone else's energy attached to you? Or if you're in a crowded space, can you feel the energy of the person next to you or across from you? Doesn't mean you have to dig into it, doesn't mean you have to absorb their energy, but it's sort of just like becoming aware, like listening to the energy. What is it telling you? What are you feeling? And you can open your eyes now. And I just wanted to share that with you as a way of beginning to gauge your awareness. At any given moment, on any given day, at any second of any day, you can tune into these different levels of awareness to really find out what's going on. Am I just mentally freaking myself out? Am I just letting this chatterbox storyteller run away with me? Am I feeling some stuff that I haven't wanted to acknowledge? Is there something within me that I really need to let go? Do I need to feel something really deeply? Maybe it's just my body. Is there tightness? Am I uncomfortable? Am I thirsty? Am I hungry? What could possibly be contributing to my current state? Maybe it's my spiritual thing. Maybe there's just a message. I've been getting this tap on the shoulder saying, hey, have that conversation. Hey, go say that thing. Hey, go do this. Hey, make that call, make that email, but I've just been ignoring it and putting it off. So I'm spending a whole lot of energy just trying to keep something out. The reason that I wanted to share this with you is that there is always some level of insider information that you can receive in any moment. And sometimes we can't really figure out, like, what is that? I don't know where that came from or what is that? Do this scan, sort of check yourself, look at all levels of yourself and really begin to see, where is it that my attention is required? And remember that you don't always have to do anything. Sometimes it's about just being present. Give me a thumbs up or a heart or an emoji if this really helped to sort of open your eyes or your mind to the idea that perhaps there's some awareness that's been waiting for your attention and waiting for your acknowledgement. Perhaps there's something within you that's saying, hey, I've got the answer, or I've got the insight, or I've got the thing you need to do. Would you please just give me 5 minutes of your time? So when we're in these in-between phases, when the cake is still baking, when, it's like you're a gardener, right? And we work so hard and we're so diligent, and I've been meditating and I went and got my chakras aligned and I bought a crystal and I took a class and I read a book and I meditated and I gonged and I burned shit and I drank shit and I lit shit, and I'm still lost. I'm still not sure. Doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. Sometimes things just are the way they are, and our responsibility is to simply be present within it. And so often we try to hold ourselves hostage in saying, well, if I was happier, then this would be, then this thing would happen. If I was better at being spiritual, if I just knew how to get into the vortex, if I just did another vision board, if I just banged a gong a few more times, and we're always wanting to blame ourselves. Girl, sometimes it falls apart because there's this fucking thing called gravity. And it just fell apart. And I had nothing to do with the gravity. It's just there. And so when I threw it up in the air, it fell down. So here's another thing that I want to offer you as a way to allow yourself to be present within your experience no matter what. This idea that we often get that when this thing happens, then I'll be happy, or when this thing happens, then I'll be at ease, or when that thing stops, then I can be comfortable. And we're always looking for the next thing. We're always looking for this finish line that doesn't exist. And I know that in these times when things aren't clear and we're exhausted and we're like, please just give me a fucking break. All I want is some clarity. All I want is an answer. All I want is the plan or some truth or a sign or something. And so we don't know what to do, and we get really upset with ourselves, and we really go, hey, we turn it into this mental exercise, or we're punishing our body, or we're cutting ourselves off from our emotion. We're doing anything we can to just help ourselves feel more comfortable and more at ease. Except for oftentimes the very one thing that we're really supposed to be doing was just being present with it. Just be present with it. So here's the mantra I want to give you to hopefully make your experience of discomfort and fuzziness and not being clear a little bit easier. Right? More ease. We can at least invite more ease into this difficult situation, or this challenging situation, or this unclear situation. And that is it. You can write this down. Get a pen and paper and write this down. And you can just say this to yourself whenever you're feeling out of whack, whenever you're feeling like all of a sudden I'm not congruent, or I just got into a cage match with myself, right? 2 enter, but only 1 will survive, right? And we just feel like we're just making ourselves crazy. So very, very simple. I allow my thoughts to be present, and I allow myself to be present with my thoughts. I allow my feelings to be present, and I allow myself to be present with my feelings. I allow my emotions to be present, and I allow myself to be present with my emotions. I allow my body to be present, and I allow myself to be present with my body. And when you say this, a couple of things happen. Number 1 is it immediately puts you in that position of the observer. And the observer is the eternal, infinite part of you. The observer is that part of you that is always healthy, always balanced, always thriving, always perfect. The observer is the part of you that remains. This is what I call the one that remains. When the story of Andrew is over, when this body breaks down and I'm dead, the one that remains is who I really am. And when I say this mantra, that immediately aligns me with the perspective of the observer, the infinite true self. It allows me to go into a compassionate, non-judgmental, unconditional love place and say, hey, I allow it. I allow the body and the personality of Andrew to have its experience, and I allow myself to be present with it. I allow the emotional self to have its emotional experience, and I allow myself to be present with it. But when I put myself in the observer state, what I remind myself of is the fact that, yeah, right now I might be pissed, but I won't be pissed forever. Yeah, right now things might be scary, but they won't be scary forever. Yeah, right now things may be frustrating, but they won't be frustrating forever. I'll say this again because some of you are asking for me to repeat this. I allow my thoughts, it's basically the same thing, the same sentence, but you say it with thoughts, feelings, emotions, and then body. So I allow my thoughts to be present, and I allow myself to be present with my thoughts. And what you're actually physically doing there, I allow my thoughts to be present. So now I am observing the fact that there is a thought there. And I'm not fighting it. I'm not resisting it. I'm not trying to get away from it. I'm not trying to turn on my violet flamethrower and just burn it down, right? Spiritually, magically thinking that if I just work hard enough and meditate hard enough, it'll go away. No, don't make it into something you need to get away from or get rid of. Just let it be. And then when you say, I allow my thoughts to be present, I allow myself to be present with my thoughts. I am here. I am fully invested in my experience. I am willing to be in the midst of whatever it is that I am asked to be in the midst of, because it is just me and me. A spiritual experience is just about your relationship with you and you. You the human and you the rest of you. It's only between you and you. So I allow my thoughts to be present, and I allow myself to be present with my thoughts. I allow my feelings to be present, and I allow myself to be present with my feelings. I allow my emotions to be present, and I allow myself to be present with my emotions. I allow my body to be present, and I allow myself to be present with my body. So you say that mantra, and you're sort of accessing all of these levels of, these immediate levels of awareness that we have access to in our human form right here, right now. And then I just allow myself to be present, and I'm not fighting. Nothing is my adversary. I'm not resisting. And it doesn't mean that I'm not supposed to take action. It doesn't mean that there won't be a time for choice or decision. What it means is that I am here right now, and the clarity and the power and the truth that I am seeking is only ever right here anyway. So what the hell am I doing worrying about next week or last month? Because that's not real anyway. And my guidance and my clarity and my power never exist there anyway. It's only ever right here. So let the fire continue to burn. Witness it, observe it, tend to it, and nurture yourself within it. Just because things are really tough and really difficult doesn't mean that you can't be present with and love yourself. Allow these last few weeks to continue to fall apart and crumble, and just let it be, and trust that when it's time to do something, you'll know it like you know your name. Just trust yourself. This is between you and you. This is little Andrew and big Andrew. Little Andrew is me, the human that you see, and big Andrew is the rest of me. The part of me that really knows what's up, who's the one tapping me on the shoulder saying, hey, relax, it's gonna be okay. You don't have to be a control freak. It's okay, let go. If you're sad, cry. If you're angry, scream. If you're afraid, be afraid. Whatever it is, just be. Allow it to occur. Give it your permission. Bless it and let it be part of your experience. And then when it's finished falling apart, then where am I? I'm where I have always been, right here in the moment, and now I'm ready to take the fucking action and take the step and make the choice and the decision so that I can move towards reaping and harvesting and receiving all of the things that I have been working so hard on manifesting. Just because it doesn't look like what you thought it would look like doesn't mean it's not what you asked for. Trust your heart, trust your gut, trust the primary reality, and just be prepared for when the secondary reality and the primary reality line up, and bam, that door is open, the path is clear, and it's time to fucking go. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. I hope this helps. A reminder that the Transformation Lab is this weekend. It's going to be amazing. And that's really a lot of what this is about. Practical tools, one-on-one coaching, guided meditation, intuitive insight, and work to really give you the tools to move forward through the rest of your life. This isn't about just like, oh, this will work for today and tomorrow. This is no, do you want to be the creator of your life full stop? Do you want to be the one driving the bus? Then this is what this workshop is all about. If you're interested in booking a session, click the links. I'll leave all the links in the description. If you're on Instagram, click the link in my bio. It'll show you all my stuff. If you're on Facebook, click the Book Now button on the cover story. It'll take you directly to my calendar. I'm super, super excited about what's around the corner. I'll be in LA in just a couple of weeks. I'm going to start doing some workshops and stuff down there, but I'm always taking private clients online or over the phone. That's it, you guys. Hang tight, let it burn, let it crumble, let it fall apart. And when it's time, it's time. But don't force yourself to have to make a decision and put so much pressure on yourself before it's time. Just let it be. You'll know. You'll know. Trust me. Thanks, you guys, for watching. Mwah! I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.